Now, lawyer for the Mampugu overlord, Mohammed Tahir Nambe, says the Nairi has not breached any law in the enskinment of a new chief for Bawku. According to him, the process was done in accordance with the tradition and they are ready to head to the court to defend the decision. The lawyer for the Kusasi side, Maxor Agbambila, indicates allowing the decision of the enskinment of a new chief by the Nairi for Bawku to stand will amount to modern-day apartheid. But lawyers were speaking on Newsfile on the directive by government for the arrest of a new chief for Bawku enskinned by the Nairi.
This is a Republican state. It is not a monarchy. And everything that we do is regulated by law. That is the Constitution of Ghana. And the Constitution of Ghana, per Article 19.5, indicates that nobody should be arrested. I just want to paraphrase. Nobody should be arrested for a law that does not exist. Let's contextualize it. What the Nairi did the other time, last week, what is unconstitutional about it? What is criminal about it? It is rather the state, it is rather the republic, it is rather the government, let me put it bluntly, that is going to create problem that does not exist. The Nairi has done or had done things in accordance with the Mampuruku or Mampurusi custom and tradition. Assuming without admitting that the newly enskinned Bawku is arrested, what would be the charges preferred against him? And we are prepared to meet anybody in the courtroom. We will not say that we will take the law into our own hands. No. We will meet everybody in the courtroom and exonerate our client that he did not do anything untoward as far as the laws of the country is concerned.
What has brought us to this day is as a result of colonialism. And you all know that when the British came here, because of lack of human resource, they tried to use the indirect rule system. So in any community, when they go, they find somebody who looks like a prominent person. They appoint that person, and then they use him for the purposes of their indirect rule system. When they got to our part of the country, you see, the Mampusis are naturally, I'm told, people of trading nature. So they used to trade to Ouagadougou, present-day Burkina Faso, and Tinkudugu, and all of that. And the story is that people used to waylay them along those routes, and then they will rob them of their wealth. So their chief sent some of their men there to man those areas. And because they had chieftaincy, more like the Ashantis, anywhere they are gathered, they would appoint one of themselves to be chief. Bawku is a paramountcy with 25 divisions who are Kusasis. Is it his case that, so today, if a Zabila skin is vacant, the Zabila chief should go to Bawku with an interpreter to be skinned as a Bawku Naba? And he doesn't see that that is colonialism or apartheid? How is that in this present-day democracy? That I should be forced to go to somebody whose language I don't speak to be skinned as a chief and to be controlled and ordered about by him? I think that, I mean, with the greatest of respect, that leaves much to be desired.
All away from that, residents of the Guan district in the Oti region have appealed to the Electoral Commission to begin the process of creating a constituency for the area in earnest. According to the residents, they feel like orphans as they do not have a representative in Parliament to speak on their behalf and put before the House the numerous challenges. Addressing the press in Sancho Kofi, Nana Kofi Olato Chindom Hine of the Sancho Kofi traditional area implored the EC not to play any gimmick what the residents has done in 2020, where the electorate were disenfranchised in the parliamentary elections.
Following the creation of the Oti region out of the Volta region in 2018, the Sancho Kofi, Akpafu, Likpe and Lolobi traditional areas were carved out of the Hohwe municipality. The residents were promised to be allocated a district and constituency status before the 2020 general elections. This, however, did not materialize. The government eventually fulfilled its promise and inaugurated the Guan District Assembly in 2021. Though the residents were grateful, they believe that creating the Guan constituency would complement the efforts of the assembly to harness development. Nana Kofi Olato is the Chidomhini of the Central Kofi traditional area.
So as we sit here, we don't know what plans the government has, because already we are 4 years, 2 years have already been spent without a representative at the parliament. And we don't know our fate for the next 2 years before the government, this session will end. So if you have any grievances, we can't send it anywhere. If you tell the district chief executive, she doesn't attend the parliament. So our voices don't go anywhere. As we sit here or I'm talking here, the parties have already started campaigning to go to primaries, so that if the green light is given, then we can get our representative at the assembly. So if by 2024 we don't have a representative at the parliament, then I'll create the president or whoever will come to power, that then they should dissolve this Guan District Assembly so that they give us to formidable assemblies which are already in existence.
In a related development, there's an easy calm in the district following a recommendation by an assembly committee for education and health directorates to be sited in Lolobi and Central Kofi respectively. Some youth in Likpe were unhappy with the recommendation and accused the district chief executive of bias and sabotage. Nana Kofi Olato, who spoke on behalf of chiefs in the Central Kofi, Lolobi and Akpafu traditional areas, entreated the disgruntled youth to allow the assembly to deliver its mandate.
These baseless allegations of bias aimed at sabotaging and undermining the work of the district chief executive, if allowed to continue, will foment disunity and derail our district's development agenda. Therefore, we, the paramountcies of the 3 sister traditional areas, want to call on the paramountcy of Likpe as a matter of urgency to call the youth of Likpe to order.
Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Sandro Kofi.
Now, a youth group in Nandoli Kalio constituency, calling themselves Volunteers for Anthony Winkara Suma, is calling on delegates of the National Democratic Congress in the upcoming parliamentary to vote massively for him to enable him return to parliament to continue his good works. Spokesperson of the Volunteers group, Juga Rudolph, at a press conference, noted that after taking a careful look at the work of the incumbent member of parliament, he has done extremely well and deserves another term in office. Joy News Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports that the group has also given out 5,000 Ghana cedis to the MP for him to pay for his nomination form.
Volunteers for Anthony Winkara Suma, VAMS, is a network of registered members of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, in the Nandoli constituency with the sole objective of promoting and increasing the electoral fortunes of the party, particularly the sitting member of parliament of the area, Anthony Winkara Suma. Before the return to constitutional rule in 1992, the Nandoli parliamentary seat was the preserve of the Donko Dombo Buzio tradition and held by Jato Keleo until Alfonso Manakens Barbabin, representing the NDC, came to the scene and held it for 28 years. The margin of victory of the NDC in the constituency was further widened 3 years ago when Anthony Winkara Suma became the standard bearer. Addressing the press, the group opined that after careful assessing the work of the MP, they have come to the conclusion that he is the best person to lead the party in the constituency and urge other delegates of the party to join the wagon. Juga Rudolph is the spokesperson of VAMS.
The MP facilitated the repairs and maintenance of over 100 boreholes and water systems across the constituency, amounting to about 49,800 Ghana cedis. Point 6. The August 2021 flood disaster support. The MP mobilized and supported disaster victims with relief items such as mattresses, food items and clothing for about 300 households, worth 370,000 entrepreneurship and job creation. Through this program, over 150 youths in the constituency are engaged in various skills training such as hairdressing, tailoring, weaving and welding under various trainers. This program has generated over 50 direct jobs, and when training is completed, more than 300 additional direct and indirect jobs will be created. The good news is that the cost of training and the training kits of about 204,000, that is 2 billion old Ghana cedis, was absorbed by the MP.
The membership of the group, which comprised of ward and branch executives, through their unflinching support for the incumbent MP by donating a cash amount of 5,000 Ghana cedis to pay for his nomination form.
We will equally process the form by ensuring that the form is duly endorsed. We pledge to also avail ourselves in leading him to file the nomination. And lastly, we wish to pledge our readiness to reach every delegate across the constituency to mobilize vote for his candidature. We are therefore calling on our colleague delegates here and everyone in the constituency who are already enthused and energized by the MP's performance to come on board to support this project. This exercise is a battle for the future of Nadoli Kaleo constituency. Let us all embrace it for our collective progress and prosperity.
Some members of VAMS and their organizers share their thoughts on the performance of the Nadoli Kaleo MP.
And if we say that for him being there the first time, we should just leave him, that wouldn't be the best. It means that we don't know what the future holds for us. And once the people were behind us, and they were always supporting us, and he has been there for several times, we're also ready to support him. So the Sombo Ward is ready to support Honorable Anton Nkara to also go to Parliament. And as the saying goes, the longer or the older, the better.
He has instituted what we call the community gala, where he entertains the communities to engage in volleyball competitions and football competition. My brother, what the MP has done within the past 2 years gave us the temerity to at least come together, pick a form for him, fill it for him. We will do that and we'll give him all our maximum support until victory against is declared for him.
Reporting for J News, Rafik Salam, Nadoli.
And now President Akufo-Addo is expected to present the 2023 State of the Nation Address to Parliament on the 28th of February 2023. Listen to Majority Leader Osei Chairman Sabonsu presenting the business statement of Parliament and announcing the arrangements to MPs.
Speaker, barring any unforeseen development, His Excellency the President of the Republic is expected to deliver a message on the State of the Nation on Tuesday, the 28th of February 2023, in accordance with Article 67 of the Constitution. Speaker, in accordance with Standing Order 160 sub 2 and subject to Standing Order 53, the Business Committee submits to this House the order in which the business of the House shall be taken during the week.
Meanwhile, Ghana's President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is calling on world leaders to have the commitment to develop a new world order of strong partnership between the West and Africa, taking part in a roundtable discussion at the Munich Security Conference 2023. Akufo-Addo criticized the practice in which the continent is left to struggle on its own in times of global difficulties.
We talk solidarity. We see that, for instance, in the latest crises that have overcome humanity, the COVID-19 crisis, the effects of the war in Eastern Europe and the Russian-Ukraine war. In both of these, the consequences of them have not seen that sense, that solidarity. We on the continent have been left alone to fend for ourselves. We saw that during the COVID-19 pandemic, when even access to vaccines became a major problem for the African continent. When people applied the principle of charity begins at home and looked after their own and were extremely reluctant to look outside their borders to assist those of us who did not have the preparations that we should have had to have the vaccines. So that's one clear example of the absence of solidarity. We've seen it again as a result of the war in Eastern Europe, the war in Ukraine, and its consequences, the dramatic impact that it has had on the global financial and economic system, and the extent to which so many people in Africa and the so-called South have had to fend for themselves. So if indeed we're to have cooperation between the South and the North, the fundamental requirement of solidarity requires the political will. Is there the political will to reach out across the divide and try and create a new world whereby the them and us is no longer the paradigm? I think that one, to me, is absolutely critical. And flowing from that, of course, is a critical look at the institutions that govern the world's activity, whether it's in governance, in global governance, whether it is in the financial management of the world. The issue that Charles Michel put on the table once again is a compelling one. These institutions that exist today are the result of history, and of course so they will be. Things are not created in a vacuum. And many of the critical institutions that govern the world today were created to resolve post-war problems after the Second World War. The Bretton Woods institutions are a classic example. The financial institutions were set up essentially to resolve the problems of the redevelopment and revival of Europe after the devastation of the Second World War. Again, the global financial or the global governance institution, the United Nations and the Security Council, even looking at the composition of the Security Council, tells you that it is a council that was created and structured at a particular time in global history. Once again, dominated by the consequences of the Second World War. If indeed we're going to have a new paradigm, a paradigm that recognizes that the world has moved on since San Francisco, 1945, has moved on since 1945, that we have a different arrangement.
Well, a bipartisan group of members of parliament who are resident in Commonwealth Hall of the University of Ghana say they are surprised management of the school are refusing to comply with a court order. And the Accra High Court has barred the university from implementing its residential policy that saw all residents of Commonwealth Hall sacked from the hall. The university is yet to comply. Speaking on behalf of the group, MP for Busa South, Dr. Clement Apart, said the current impasse on campus does not do any good to the university's image.
The alumni of Commonwealth Hall, University of Ghana, who are members of Parliament. We have the Parliamentary Caucus of the Old Vandals Association. We are aware that the University of Ghana sought to introduce a new policy known as in, out, out, out. We believe that that policy is unjustified, and regardless of what circumstances may have precipitated such a policy move, we are opposed to it in principle and on the basis of lack of evidence to merit and justify such a policy. But as law-abiding as we are, and as members of the Old Vandals Association of Ghana, we want to state emphatically that we expect the University of Ghana to respect the recent injunction granted us by the court, and we fail to understand why the preeminent university is failing to respect the law.
According to the MPs, they will not rest until all legal avenues open to the hall are exhausted. Dr. Clement Apart says they will protect their hall and culture.
I promise and assure you that as all vandals, we seek peace in the resolution of this issue. We are in touch with our hall authorities and younger vandals, as well as the Old Vandals Association. We would use every single legitimate means available to us to protect our hall, our culture, our tradition, which has served us well and continues to serve us. If any member of the hall has misconducted himself, we have no problem if such an individual is identified and the sanctions available meted to that individual. But to seek to punish an entire hall, a hall that has produced some of the best in the Republic of Ghana, a culture that has been very, very productive in producing those of us gathered here and even more, we clearly cannot stand by and allow anyone to take the law into his or her own hands. So we thank you for your audience, and we believe the truth would stand, as is the motto of the great Commonwealth Hall. Thank you.
Well, meanwhile, management of the University of Ghana says some people who join students during rioting are not members of the university community. According to them, these people move from town to campus just to cause mayhem for their own parochial interest. The university management has been addressing issues concerning new residential policy of the university. There is more in this report.
Policeman beating students. Where's your friend?
That was a scene when some students of Commonwealth Hall of the university clashed with police over what the student claimed as enforcing a High Court ruling.
Last Thursday, the High Court, a court of confidence, jurisprudence and jurisdiction, had given an order that the status quo should remain. And that means that people who were residents of Commonwealth Hall last academic year, continuing students, all of them are to be made to come back. Everybody you see here, you can see their bags. They've been sacked from the UJ hostels because they have not been able to pay. And then our demands were simple. We cannot pay. The court has given an order. Take us back. How is that so difficult?
The student could not understand why the university was refusing them the opportunity to reside in the hall.
We want to make it emphatic clear today that the stone silent by the university management not to kowtow to the decision of the court is what? Tantamount to perjury. It is tantamount to what? Unlawfulness. And we want to let them know that we, the descendants of Father Bawku, can never be intimidated.
But Professor Gordon Awandari, the Pro-Vice Chancellor in charge of student affairs, disagrees with their position.
Because you know that even if a court says that you should go or you should go back to Commonwealth Hall, all the students know the process by which you get a room. It is not for you to get up and go to the hall and push your way through and say you are going to take over the hall. Which other student occupies their room in that manner? It's not your duty to enforce a court order.
According to him, 1/3 of the 18 people who were arrested due to the recent clash are not students of the university after all.
This clash this mob action that they did this week, about 1/3 of the people, we can't find them in our student records. So either they gave wrong names to the police, or they are not students. They are not in the records. But they said they were coming home. They were coming to take their beds. Which beds?
The university believes the new residence policy of in, out, out, out is the panacea to these numerous clashes. Dr. Abna Enimwa Yeboah Benning is a member of the university's communications team.
In the first instance is, as you say, to help reduce the clashes that increasingly were occurring between Commonwealth and Mensa Saba Hall, and that were also increasingly becoming a bit more violent than we think peace and security can afford on the university campus.
Former SRC President Prince Asumadu wants students to remain calm and allow peace to prevail on campus.
Where we are, this is the nation's premier university. People have lost their scholarship based on this unnecessary fights that happen on campus. So we need to, come together as one people, as the citadel of knowledge, University of Ghana. A lot of giants have passed through the gates of University of Ghana, and we cannot continue to always disgrace ourselves out there in the media and the public space.
It is yet to be seen whether the new policy of the university will indeed help curtail the number of times students clash on campus. But before that happens, for now, the university is just calm as usual. From the University of Ghana campus, Samuel Kojo Brace for Joy News.
Now, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration says it has received the unfortunate news of the recovery of the body of Christian Achu from the rubble of his apartment following the earthquake which struck Turkey on 6 February 2023. He was 31, according to a statement from the ministry. The Ghana embassy in Turkey, which conveyed the sad news, indicates that the body was recovered early this morning, February 18. My colleague Samuel Imbura joins me on Zoom with excerpts of the statement. What more is the statement saying?
She has indicated that after recovering the body, the elder brother and twin sister of Christian Achu and an officer of the embassy were present at the site when the body was recovered. Government extends to the widow and family of Christian Achu our condolences. The embassy is currently making the necessary arrangements with the assistance of the government of Turkey to have the body transported to Ghana for burial. So they are saying that the public will be updated on the further developments so far as this sad incident is concerned.
So that's my colleague Imbura with what the details of the statement there. Well, we'll take a quick break and we'll come back. There is more. Welcome back. You're still watching the Joy Newsroom with me, Razak Musbau. Now, 1,042 candidates have been successfully placed in their choice of schools at the ongoing self-placement exercise under the computerized school placement system is underway. Hundreds since yesterday have thronged the center to secure placement in the various choice of schools after the system failed to automatically place them. My colleague Mapito Sebedi was at the center and spoke to parents, student coordinators at the center.
Frustrated students and frustrated parents at the Nut Hall for school placement. Here are some of the problems the parents and wards came with.
I wanted boarding, but I was given a day, so I only came to change it. St. Francis. Order.
I want to change the school for my son because the school, I'm not around Accra here. Okay. I'm staying at Sum. Kota.
So which school did you get and which school do you want to change to?
Get at Kaneshi. Yes, but it's a day. Okay. But I'm not around here, so I want to come and change it.
So which school do you want?
Okay, the school I want to my son will tell you because me I want boarding school, maybe a Presec or Kofodia Sectec. That's one. If I get the boarding, I will.
And which course does he want to study? What course?
General Arts.
General Arts. All right. And then what aggregates?
He get 20. 20. Okay.
My word was not placed at all.
Your ward was not placed at all?
Yes.
Okay. So where would you like her to be placed?
Pardon?
So which school are you looking at? What are your first 3 choices?
With the aggregate he got, I'm yet choosing the grade C schools.
Okay.
Yes, so that's the only thing. There's no problem. Yes.
Okay, so is that
we've been given the information on what to do with each person's challenge. So I think it's fine. This time around it's fine. Yes, please.
Okay, so what schools are in the grade C?
There are a lot.
Okay, so what are your first 3 choices?
With a grade C,
yeah.
I'm now choosing. Yes, please.
You don't even have one on the top of your head?
I've just chosen them, Koji Agri Senior.
Okay, and where is that?
That's, I think, Cape Coast.
Okay, so you want boarding or day?
Boarding. Yes.
My daughter didn't get school. She didn't get placement at all. She said she wants to go to Eastern region. She wants school from the Eastern region. Yeah, so we are hoping she'll get it.
Which schools in the Eastern region?
We have Manfi Girls. Yeah, and we have Enum Presby. Yeah, and we have Mampong Presby. Yeah, so we are hoping she'll get one of it.
And what grade did she get?
Her grade, it wasn't all that good, but we are hoping for the best.
And then what course does she want to study?
She wants to offer home economics. Yes, please.
We want to change the school.
Okay.
We want to change the school.
Okay, which school did you get?
Me, I'm an old student, ATTC, but I want to change for my junior brother.
Yeah. Okay. So, what school did she get and what school does she want? The Deputy Coordinator for Free SHS, Nana Afrasi Kamensa, said the exercise is going to run for 6 weeks.
I want to tell the general public that Monday is not the actual, it's the date for reopening, but we will begin the admission processes, orientation, registration, and the rest. So instruction will begin on 27th. Even if your issue is not resolved, we have the off next week. We'll be here for 6 weeks, and when you come here, we will make sure that we resolve all their issues for them. Okay, yesterday we had about 1,042 issues that came here yesterday, but we've been able to resolve 90%. Dial 030-298-7654 for any school placement inquiries.
Well, now, lack of dormitory coupled with teaching and learning aids are major challenges facing the Ashanti School for the Deaf at Jamasi in the Ashanti region. Cosmos Energy, an upstream deep water exploration and production company, supported the renovation of 300-bed renovated boys' dormitory for the school. But the headmistress, Vida Adu, has appealed for the construction of a new dormitory.
School of Deaf is mainly boarding and takes care of students from crèche, primary, junior high, vocational and technical levels of education. Most of the facilities in the school have seen no facelift since it was established 45 years ago. The boys' dormitory was of no exception as the dilapidated structure was consumed by bedbugs. Headmistress Vida Adu says the quest to admit more visually impaired students has been hampered by accommodation challenge.
We have introduced a new unit which is blind unit, and we need so many things to make the unit stand, especially braille and teaching and learning materials for the braille, and again boys' dormitory. The children are so destructive and playful and active in the sense that every now and then you see one injuring himself or herself, and when it does happen you have to ride them to the hospital. Even though we have a small health center which is managed by the nurse, most of the cases we have to go to the hospital to see the nurse, and because we don't have cars, we have to carry them sometimes at our back to go and stand by the road and then look for taxis to convey these children to the hospital.
Following an appeal by management of the school, Cosmos Energy Ghana intervened to renovate the boys' dormitory. The 300-bed renovated dormitory will accommodate nearly all the 318 male students who constitute about 52% of the entire student population. Speaking at the handing over ceremony, the Senior Vice President and Head of the Ghana Business Unit at Cosmos Energy Ghana, Joe Mensah, said the company is committed to supporting the efforts of government in creating a good ambience for social and academic work.
Years back, we started with the water program, creating and giving, quality water to various vicinities. We did that, and then, as I said in my, remarks, when Ebola hit, we built Ebola centers across the country. And then when COVID hit, we also bought a refrigerated van for Ghana Health Services to distribute vaccines across the country. And then we wanted to still continue to do something because COVID was really devastating certain communities. And we can't leave everything in the hands of government to do. Government can do it all. So we started thinking about what else we could do. And we picked, 4 regions to start. And that was Northern region, Ashanti region, Eastern and Western to do something. And so we made a visit here and spoke with the headmistress, took us around, and we realized that there was a serious need to get dormitory for the boys. And that's why we embarked on that project. And coming to see the how it turned out, we are very, 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 very pleased with how it turned out. And I hope they'll put it to good use.
The District Director of Education, George Edu Abrakwa, commended the efforts of companies such as Cosmos Energy in helping to ensure improvement in educational infrastructure. According to him, inadequate teaching and learning aids sometimes deprive the pupils the special attention they deserve. Mr. Abrakwa says the district is challenged with infrastructure and furniture deficit, which hinders the quality of education.
If you have sound mind, then it means you can go to the workplace and then work very well. And then if you can work very well, then it means you need the necessary materials. And then what are the necessary materials? This is exactly what you have just mentioned. So it is my prayer that, as I said, the corporate institution will come to our aid, assist us with those facilities. I have enough staff.
What are the facilities that you need immediately?
Immediately, we need furniture. As I said, we need office equipment. We need a staff bungalow for my teachers. So if that one will come immediately.
For Joy News, Euko Malik's report read to you.
Now, the School of Nursing and Midwifery of the University of Health and Allied Sciences in Ho has introduced a 2-year Master of Philosophy in Nursing Studies program. Being the first postgraduate program of the school, it will provide nursing professionals with the opportunity to upgrade their field of practice and conduct independent research. There is more in the following report.
The 2-year Master of Philosophy in Nursing Studies program was designed to help students to acquire skills required in nursing patients. They will also be guided to conduct independent research in the field of nursing. The program took off with 10 nursing students. Professor Ernestina Donko is the Dean of the School of Nursing and Midwifery of the University of Health and Allied Sciences.
The undergraduate program is helping to manage nursing and midwifery activities in the country. But we also want to run these higher programs so that nurses and midwives can develop their research skills so that they will also be able to contribute to the body of knowledge of nursing and midwifery so that it can enhance our practice in the teaching the schools and all of that. Phase 2. In fact, a very big building, a magnificent one, is being built for a School of Nursing and Midwifery. And it's going to be the first, the largest school in the sub-region when it is done. And hopefully, in 2024, we hope to move in. So when we get there, maybe our numbers will increase. Okay. Whilst we also build on our faculty strength.
The head of the department and postgraduate coordinator for the School of Nursing and Midwifery, Dr. Peter Adatara, said the introduction of the postgraduate program would help consolidate the gains of the university.
We've introduced several undergraduate programs in nursing, midwifery, public health nursing. And we think that we've gotten to a stage where we need to introduce a postgraduate master's program in nursing studies to kind of give opportunity to nurses out there who want to further their studies up to the highest level. The MPhil in nursing studies is, we are the fourth school to start a postgraduate program. And as you may be aware, UHALS is the only university solely dedicated to the training of health and allied health professionals. So I think this will further consolidate our gains we have made so far over the years as a school and as a university.
Speaking at the launch, the Vice-Chancellor of the University of Health and Allied Sciences, Professor Lydia Aziato, counseled the school to partner with the Office of the International Programs to enable the students to interact and explore other universities. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News. Ho.
Now, winners of the 2022 National Law Challenge have signed a 5-year partnership agreement with a leading law firm, Zoe, Achia & Co., following their impressive showing in the competition. A competition which aired on Joy News saw UCC Law School come head-to-head with UPSA Law School and won, cementing their position in the competition's history. Kweku Asante has more in the following report.
In the competition's 3-year history, the UCC Law School have won the competition twice and came second in the first edition. Following this impressive record in the competition, a leading Ghanaian law firm, Zoe, Achia & Co., has signed a 5-year agreement with the school. Head of Chambers and MP for Bawku South, Samuel Atachia, detailed the reason for the partnership.
But I truly appreciate this partnership. I truly appreciate this partnership. And I also take time to bond with the lecturers who are forming the future generation of lawyers. We need to keep a bond, and we could also exchange ideas. And some of the problems that you might want to encounter in this sacred duty of producing lawyers, if you share them with us, we will proffer some solutions, and this partnership will be strong.
Dean of UCC Law School, Julia Selman Aite, lauded her students for the brilliant performance in the competition.
On behalf of our faculty and the wider University of Cape Coast, I'd like to offer our extreme gratitude to this law firm. It takes individuals who are very special. It's a special character that enables somebody to reach out and say, I've seen you, I've seen what you've done, I've seen what you've achieved, and we're proud of you. And not only are we proud of you, we want to recognize your accomplishment. So what can we do to assist? What can we do for saying thank you for your hard work and your efforts? And that, to me, speaks very well about the types of individuals who are part of this team at Zoe, Achia & Co. So just to be clear, we are here because our students won the National Law Challenge Ghana in 2022, and we have also won it in 2021, and we were the runners-up in 2019. So I think we're establishing a pattern here that we're very proud of.
The partnership includes a 15,000 cedis cash donation to the law school and an opportunity for 2 students of the UCC Law School to intern at Zoe, Achia & Co. every year. This partnership is expected to last for 5 years.
The aim of the partnership is to give a 15,000 Ghana cedi check, and in recognition of the students that passed the law challenge, of which 50% will go to the faculty and 50% will go to the Law Students Union. And also, it's also to provide internship opportunities. Might I say that this partnership agreement is for 5 years. And so internship opportunities for 2 students for each year of the partnership. Additionally, we are instituting 2 awards in the name of the firm, and also 1 in the name of our head of chambers, Honorable Samuel Atachia. And lastly as well, we're going to engage the head of chambers also to give a speech or a symposium also for the benefit of the students of UCC. This is quite a bittersweet experience because UCC beat UPSA in the final of the law challenge, and I'm a lecturer at the UPSA.
Kweku Asante for Joy News.
Now, the appeals court in Kumasi has granted an application for stay of execution of an order from a Kumasi High Court restoring the president of Kwapa Cocoa Farmers Union, pending her suspension by the National Executive Council of Embezzlement. The High Court on January 10, 2023, quashed the decision to suspend Madame Fatima Ali, who until then was under investigation for alleged embezzlement.
The court, presided over by His Lordship Justice George Adair Crofer, explained the decision to suspend Madame Fatima, who also doubles as Managing Director of Kwapa Cocoa Limited, did not follow due process. The ruling was to restore Madame Fatima to her role as President and Managing Director of the two organizations respectively. But the appeals court has overturned that decision. This was after a 7-member National Executive Council filed an appeal and stay of execution of the High Court decision. Counsel for the plaintiff, William Kusi, tells Joy News the ruling by the appeals court is victory for over 100,000 farmers in 6 cocoa producing regions.
That decision made by the High Court restoring her is suspended. So until the appeal is finally determined, she cannot be acting as president of the Farmers Union any longer. Neither can she act as an acting managing director of Kwapa Cocoa Limited. She cannot do anything. So the status quo is that Fatima Ali is on suspension and that the business of Kwapa Cocoa will proceed as usual. It's victory for us, and I'm sure that the appeal is an obvious success.
An attempt to remove the acting managing director of Kwapa Cocoa Limited over alleged misappropriation of funds has crippled operations of the union, including the purchasing of cocoa beans, payment of premium and commission to farmers. Vice President of the Kwapa Cocoa Farmers Union, James Ajekum, wants all factions in the impasse to unite for the common good of the farmer.
Nti ya to nsa fra ye nuanom a ewo the other side ehun so ye kakra ewo ho no o meka ye ho isan nsa na mo na ye tuo ni ye de hweku ni ye die ehia nka bom se ye nyina ye beka ye ho abom na ye tu sa asai na ye di nkunim amakuo no.
From Kumasi, for Joy News, Oyementiria reporting.
Well, let's do some business now, where airline operators on the continent, especially in West African sub-region, are upbeat about the entry of Dangote refinery to reduce aviation fuel costs for industry players. The 650,000 barrels per day crude processing plant in Nigeria is expected to be commissioned in May this year to process products including aviation fuel for the airline industry and residual fuel oil for heavy-duty machineries. In an interview with Joy Business, Group Chief Executive for Ethiopian Airlines, Mesfin Tasiu Bekele, described it as a welcome news since the cost of aviation fuel has been a major cause of worry for the operations.
And it reached very often above $110 a barrel, and that has reflected into the cost of airlines. The cost of operation of airlines, including Ethiopian Airlines, was very high in 2022. But by focusing on ways of reducing operating costs, we somehow tried to compensate for us, partly, and partly the fare had to be increased to compensate for that. So that is how we managed to go along with the higher fuel cost. Thanks to God, recently it showed a slight decline, but still it is high for the industry, and we hope fuel price will become better for airlines. Jet fuel price varies from country to country. In some countries it's relatively better. In other countries, it's high. In Nigeria, it used to be high. And when this refinery is commissioned, we hope the price of jet fuel in Nigeria will be lower. And it's good news for all airlines, including Ethiopian Airlines.
Now, Minister for Works and Housing Francis Assenso-Boakye has indicated the government is expediting processes to establish the Ghana Housing Authority. This, he said, when created, will have the mandate to regulate, plan, and manage housing development in Ghana in collaboration with the private sector. Francis Assenso-Boakye was speaking at the Sukasa Properties unveiling of the Old Grandson No. 1 community at East Legon Hills here in Accra.
Veiling also served as the sword cutting ceremony for phases 2 and 3 of the project. Minister for Works and Housing Francis Assenso-Boakye, in his keynote speech, said the commissioning of this project is a confirmation that the desired environment is being created to attract private sector investment into the housing sector.
In order to close the existing housing deficit of 1.8 million housing units and deliver efficient public infrastructure and services to the good people of Ghana, it is the policy of government to adopt public-private partnerships as a means of leveraging private sector resources, experiences, and expertise to achieve our desired objective. It is gratifying to note that Sukasa has taken into consideration a comprehensive planning scheme that provides for a self-sustaining community, that provides relevant social amenities, including a police post, healthcare facilities, shopping and recreational centers. For this reason, the Ministry of Works and Housing has initiated the process to establish Ghana Housing Authority, which will have the mandate to regulate, plan and manage housing development in Ghana in collaboration with private sector developers.
Speaking at the ceremony, the Chief Executive Officer of Sukasa, Michael O. Granson de Japon, noted that the sole aim of the company is housing infrastructure deficit through the provision of affordable housing units for Ghanaians.
The O'Granson communities is a series of communities. This is just the first one, number 1 O'Granson communities, and then from here we're going to number 2 O'Gransons and number 3 O'Gransons for the sword cutting. So we have number 4 at Yemensa. It's going to be a series of them like this. So now we have 4 of them. There are going to be many more to follow these, this first one and second, third, fourth. That's as far as that is concerned. Most of the communities are going to be much bigger than this. The second one is 55 units. Third one is 816 units to be precise. They have amenities like malls, drive-in cinemas, and what have you. Any basic amenities that you could think of, we have them there. Yeah.
Government says it is focused on the review and enactment of legislation and addressing the institutional gaps to create the appropriate platform for best practices within the industry.
Well, so that's all we have for you on Joy Newsroom with me, Razak Musbau. Do head to myjoyonline.com for more.